Okay, so here with Paul today. Paul runs the Kando Martial Arts organization, specifically Kando Martial Arts Rowville. So great to have you on, Paul. We've been working together since, I believe, the start of this year, 1st of January. So Paul also runs Martial Art Business Success, which is the leading martial arts coaching group within Australia. So very successful man in his own rights. He's done a lot. So yeah, really appreciate you hopping on, Paul, and kind of giving a bit of rundown about what it's like working with the Zeron marketing, how you found working with myself, Hugo, and the rest of the team, and yeah, just going to be running through a few questions. But I guess probably the first question being is like, how are you kind of finding everything so far? What was it like beforehand? Kind of going hand the mic over to you there.
No worries. Thanks, Sam, and thanks for having me on and having a bit of a chat. Yeah, it's gone quickly, hasn't it? It's been 7 months now. We started at the start of the year. So before working with you and Hugo, I did my own marketing, and I had tried marketing agencies in the past. One martial arts specific, supposedly, and others not. And what I found was that between their ad spend, they're not really understanding our industry and what they would charge ultimately I would get better results myself. Um, but I would find that my marketing, albeit exactly what I tell my coaching clients not to do, was very hit and miss, very feast or famine. So there'd be times where I'd throw a truckload of money at it, start of the year, and what I found over the years was Facebook, especially, just getting harder and harder. Back when we started marketing Facebook, we started doing paid trials. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was really easy. But then obviously all the clubs do it now. Everyone's marketing on Facebook. We're competing with other clubs, other sports, every other advertiser. And it was just getting more and more difficult to get good results off the ads. The cost per lead was really blowing through the roof. And so my answer to that was, well, let's throw more money at it. On top of that, I'm a bit of a dinosaur in some ways, as you know from working with me now. So IT is not my specialty. And I'll be honest, it's not something I enjoy. Some people love doing their own marketing, love doing their own stuff. I don't. I'd rather be doing a lot of other things. And so the time I would put into it was taking me time away from other things I could be doing that would give me a better return on investment. So I had, talked about outsourcing again and looking around for a company, done a couple of little Google searches, and then the great gods of algorithms picked me up and put you in front of me. And I guess when we first chatted, I liked your approach, you and Hugo. It's pretty no nonsense. The what the I don't know, the guarantee that you give is reasonable without being ridiculous. And I found that you didn't try to overtalk things. The other thing I've enjoyed working together, which we'll get more into, is that you guys listened to what I need. And when we first started working together, the system you got is great, but because we run a school of 1,000, we've got front end systems in place that work really well. So it was more I needed the drive of messages to us, and then we took it over them. And so once we sat down and talked about that, we fine tuned things a little bit, and it's really working well.
100%. That's really exciting and great to hear there. And I know we've been talking a bit back and forth over the few months, and obviously us coming down to the MAB scene and doing the conference kind of as a guest speaker there with you. I know you always joke about the kind of constant you're in a love-hate relationship with marketing agencies. What kind of was the tipping point that you felt like maybe it was in our ads, and I know you kind of touched on it then, but you were like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give these guys a go because I know you've worked with a lot of marketing agencies, and to your own credit, Paul, like I know you say you're a bit of a quote unquote dinosaur with it, but you still, for industry standards, were running some pretty solid advertising yourself. And I know
Mm.
obviously being a business owner at 1,000 members in one location alone, you obviously can allocate your time better to other things. But what was kind of the tipping point that you were like, you know what? I feel like these guys and moving forward to a longer term partnership that we're now in, what was that tipping point for you?
When we came back, January is traditionally a pretty busy time, and so we had sort of stagnated around about that, 800, 850 member mark, and it was going to take a bit of a push to get things going. And I thought rather than just take it on board myself, we were pretty busy anyway, running a club that size. I thought I'll give it a shot. And I have to say, I did say to my wife, I'm going to give it one more go, outsourcing, one more go. I'm sucking for punishment. I'll give it another whirl. And so the initial 3 month commitment with Azurian, you've got to you've got to take that commitment. You can't expect that magic's going to happen overnight, and I know that. So, but what I liked and what straight away was that we talked about when we first met, that you really sort of took the time to understand where we're at with the business, what we were looking for, because different clubs, different sizes, or at different phases need different things. We've got a pretty good onboarding system set up already, so we can take a reasonable amount of students in. Whereas I guess a club that's at the lower end might need to taper that down a little bit so they can cope with them. It's no good having them march in the front door and out the back door just as fast. So the first 3 months was really a suck it and see. For me also, marketing is not an expense, it's an investment, and it has to pay back. And the numbers did that. Straight away we started getting trials in. Once we started tweaking things and fine tuning things, what it's done is, and I mentioned before, I would get feast or famine. Man, I need some more students in. I want to do a push, so let me throw $10,000 this month at marketing. Bang, there's a whole heap of leads. Then we onboard them, and then I don't do anything for the next 2 months. This has given me a bit of a stability and a constant flow. I think last month we did something like 70 trials. So not just inquiries, but 70 trials came through.
Yeah.
Now that's something we aim for a conversion of 70%, which we usually hit. And so that not only am I getting the trials, but they're pretty well qualified. And the fact that we can talk about different areas, like I've said to you, hey, let's push our marketing towards this area because it's a bit more affluent. Let's stay away from this area. There's another club. One of our other clubs is there.
Yep.
And the responsiveness you and Hugo have is really good. The ads change pretty much straight away. So it's to be honest with you, I found you guys easy to work with, which is really important to me. It's no good working with someone, even if they're getting your results, but you're not finding that good click together.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very appreciative of that. And I'm careful when I say this. Obviously, there's a lot of other marketing agencies out there, and there's a lot that are good. But unfortunately, like, we speak with a lot of people that have been burnt in the past, and they kind of have this notion around all marketing agencies are scams. There's like, they're not out there to deliver results and things. What would you say is kind of the biggest difference? Obviously, you've kind of alluded to already, like, we listen, things like that. But what would you say is the biggest thing in terms of the onboarding process? Obviously we have our weekly communication. We've got the WhatsApp, the Zoom calls, and things like that.
Yep.
What would you say is probably like the thing that you found best for us compared to the other agencies out there, and why you think we're able to deliver the results and kind of good to work with?
Yeah, and you're going to laugh at part of this because, well, you'll see. One, the communication's great. We catch up every week, even if it's just a quick couple of minutes, even if we don't really have much to go over. It's a quick touch. How's it going? What are your numbers looking like? You're very clear with the expectations that you need from me. And this is a bit we laugh at because I know I haven't got some stuff back to you I've been promising for months. But anyone who's going to put an agency on has to understand it's not a magic bullet. It's not like, here's my money, produce for me 50 students a month. You've got to put a bit back in. You've got to get the artwork. You've got to check the copy. You're supposed to do the videos. If you're watching this, I haven't done the videos. So I get friendly reminders. So the communication side of things is great, but the accountability side of things, you step by step, even though I've been doing this for a long time, you and Hugo are like, can we have this, and this, because this will let us try a different approach. And the copy only ads are a great example. When you put the wording only ads up, and I actually said to you, hopefully it wasn't taken the wrong way, to me, this is really lazy marketing, guys. Put some effort in, get some photos up there, get some.
Oh, we hear it all the time, Paul.
and I think what you said to me, I think you said to me basically, give it a chance, and if it doesn't work, we'll change it. And I hate to say it because I don't like to look at the ads personally, but they work really well.
Yeah.
And so this takes away the emotional factor. As the club owner, as the person who's invested in what I teach, in my mind, I think I know what should work, but the numbers don't lie. And that's the good thing with you and Hugo. I can shoot you a message and go, hey guys, I'm doing my stats. What was our ad spend last month? And bam, the ad spend comes back. And we'll break down cost per lead, cost per acquisition, cost per message. So it's really step by step, which, even though I've been doing it for a while, I really work well with. Two, there's a bit of backwards and forwards accountability. You're not promising magic things. What you're saying is, hey, we'll get you the best results if you can get me A, B, C, D. And so any business owner worth their salt understands that they've got to put that bit of effort in as well, especially in the initial setup and onboarding stages.
100%, 100%. Yeah. And I guess in terms of, so just to clarify again, you were at the start of the year sitting around that 885 member mark.
Yeah, 870, 885, somewhere around there. Yep.
Yeah. So it's currently the 1st of August. Where are we sitting now in terms of members, and what's been the difference there in terms of results?
So I think we've just hit 1,012.
And
Um,
that's in the one location, keep in
One
mind.
location, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one location. Yeah, it is, and the thing is too for us, it's uncharted territory. We've never had a club this big before, and so having you and Hugo on board with the marketing, and the biggest advantage, like I said, is just the constant stream. It's not feast or famine. It's not okay. It's a back to school special. Let's get half our annual marketing budget smashing out there. But what that's let me do is focus more on staff training, focus more on taking classes, focus more on the systems that can cope with these sorts of numbers. And to be honest, I mentioned before, Facebook marketing is not one of the things I enjoy. And
Mm.
so having you do that, it's given me the opportunity to do the things I enjoy more and the things that will give me a better return on investment in the club.
100%, especially being the business owner and quite a large one now at that 1,000 member mark. You got to put your time in where you get the most return out of, and probably doing Facebook ads, even myself doing them is probably not the best use of your time, right? And
It's not. And as an organisation, you said we've got 7 clubs, and we're kind of just creeping up to that 4,000 student mark between the clubs. And you and Hugo are doing marketing for 3 of the clubs.
yep,
And it's working really well. That the other 2 clubs that you've been doing, I can see a jump in their numbers the last couple of months. They're starting to really come in. That regular intake of students coming through.
yeah, yeah. And I know we often talk about this, and you talk about this a lot in your MABS thing, and people can find that, by the way, if they're watching at the school group, just MABS, MABS, Martial Art Business Success. So if you want to learn how to get to 1,000 members, the systems behind that, pause your man. But this is a bit of a side tangent almost, Paul, but I think a really important point. It's something we talk about a lot, and you talk a lot about in MABS, but what is the actual importance of marketing for a martial art gym? Because a lot of martial arts schools we speak with, they may be at that 50 member mark, 100 member mark, and don't understand the importance of marketing being an investment, not an expense. But even
Mm.
people that are in a similar position to yourself, they may be at 500 members, maybe they're even edging up to 1,000 members. Like, again, a bit of a side tangent question here, but coming back to the fundamentals of it, why is marketing such an important thing for a business?
Yeah, and it's such an important thing to understand. And the bottom line is that people are not always ready to buy. I can't remember the numbers, but it's a very low percentage of people who see your ad straight away who are ready to go.
Yeah.
Especially Facebook marketing being interruption marketing. But what you're doing is you're planting a seed, and you're raising an awareness. And when they do decide to buy, or you're ahead of started the thought process, maybe this could be good for me or for my kids, or hey, I've been looking for something new, you become front of mind. And the other thing too is if you're not marketing, well, who's getting your students? Because it'll be the guy down the road who is marketing. Now, unless you run something pretty niche as a martial arts school, most people who come in, most parents, most students don't know a lot about martial arts. They don't know, they might be concept aware, they might be product aware, but they're certainly not brand aware. So they don't know why you're the best martial arts club. But we find more and more that parents will do their background checks. So they'll see a Facebook ad, then that'll tweak them to jump on our website and have a look. Then they'll send us an inquiry. But when we dig down to where they first saw us, it was through the Facebook ad or through the marketing. Then they talk to friends. So it's a symbiotic relationship, having a good website that you can drive leads to. But if you don't get your name out there, no one knows about you. And I guess without going off too much on a tangent, I've never considered other martial arts clubs opposition. And I think within 5 kilometers of my club, we've got 12 clubs. There's 12 martial arts schools. And some of them are really good. Some of them are good guys, great instructors. And if we don't find a fit with a prospect, I'll always recommend them to another school. If I don't think they're very good people, I'll put them to a school I don't like. But mostly the schools I do like. I used to think that our opposition was more things like soccer, basketball, football, the other sports, especially team sports. What I think now, and what I really believe is our biggest opposition is people not understanding the benefits of martial arts. not understanding what martial arts can do for them or their kids. Because if when you really dig down into all the benefits that someone who trains martial arts will get, from confidence to fitness to self-protection to self-esteem, if people really understood that, they'd be lined up around the block. And so by putting your marketing out there and putting a little bit of a blurb in, and getting people to click on the link and ask you some questions, or they see the thing and they go to your website where you can start to educate them, to me, that's the benefit. I want people to go, we've been thinking about joining for a while, and your ad. I actually had an inquiry come through the other day going, your ad popped up so many times, I just thought I had to. Eventually, it just almost convinced me to give you a buzz, because I wasn't going to do it, but now that I've said it so many times, I'm going to do it. So it's nothing like a little bit of subliminal pressure. Yeah. So for me, it's awareness. They may not be ready to buy right now, but you're putting it in front of them. You're planting seeds, and when that time does come, especially as we do retargeting campaigns of people who've looked at the ads and clicked on, you are going to be front of mind.
100%, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself there. That's great. And just to kind of wrap it up here in terms of like what the experience has been like. We're at that 880, you're now at the 1,000 member mark. I mean, a huge milestone. And again, congratulations there to yourself
Thank you.
and the rest of the team. How are things different now personally for yourself that you're kind of at that 1,000 member mark? Now I'm aware, like, we've only been working together the last few months. It's been years in the making, so I'm not going to take, we're not taking credit for that. But I guess in turn, being able to have your marketing outsourced, know that you've got, if I do say so myself, a reliable set of people that are working, that are
Yeah.
actively on it. Like, what has that allowed you to do? So you say you're spending more time being able to do the things that are kind of driving the needle forward more in the business, as well as like personally as well. What's that kind of allowed you to do, being able to find a
Mm.
marketing company that gets it?
It's a part of the funnel. So if you think, for the guys watching, if you haven't heard this before, if you think about your funnel, is where your inquiry and your prospects come in. And it can be organic, it can be paid, and obviously Facebook marketing is paid. Organic is referrals, community groups. You need your funnel to be full all the time, because if you stop your marketing, the level of the funnel drops down, and then when you go, oh heck, we need more students, you got to start again. You got to start filling the funnel up before they start filtering through to be students. So one, the consistent approach makes it easier for my staff. It's not a matter of, okay, we dropped a few numbers off, or we want to do a push, batten down the hatches. We are going to get 120, 130 inquiries or trials this month, which we've had before by doing some special offers, and the staff are smashed off our feet. The consistency of being able to onboard people properly, bring them in, make them feel welcome, show them how it works. It gives me an opportunity because at every level of your school, things change. Like, systems work when you've got 100 students, they don't work anymore when you've got 200 or 300. And so it gives me time to look at the systems and talk to the staff and work out what's working, what's not. And to be honest with you, this school will be capped out because of our space and everything at about 1,200 students. I mean, it'll be chock-a-block full. But when we talk about numbers in the industry average is around about a 5% quits per month. Now, any school that says they don't get any quits is lying, or they're not paying very much attention, because people get, they give up, they get tired, they move away, whatever it is, people leave. And so our goal is to try to keep around that 3% by, keeping classes really good, basically. But even at that 3 or 4%, that's 30 to 40 students we lose every single month that have to be replaced, not even accounting for growth. And so having that stream of students coming in for the ones who leave is, bottom line is, it's a comforting thought process that it's not me that has to do it. We're in communication about ad spend. We're in communication about where to focus the different areas. If okay, I want to focus more on adults or more on younger kids, then there's that flexibility there. That it's really just a message I send, not me having to go back and reinvent the wheel.
100%, 100%. And I guess kind of the final question to wrap it all up, and I'm very wary when I say this, that people may be watching this and go, yeah, you know what, Sam, you know what, Paul, but I'm not at that 1,000 member mark. But I think the really important thing to note here is that Paul works with people that are at brand new 50 members, 100 members, 500, 1,000. And to your credit, Paul, you've been there before, right? Like, it's not like you started at 1,000 members. It's been a long process that eventually, piling on top of the skills, the experience, the outsourcing, getting good people in place to take care of things, you've gotten to this point. So I guess like to kind of pre-frame that almost for another martial arts school that's kind of like looking to work with us, what would you kind of tell them?
Going back to what I said, treat it like an investment. As you said, it's taken 28 years for me to become an overnight success. And I always say I don't have all the answers, but I reckon I've made pretty much all the mistakes along the way. And sometimes you can spread yourself too thin. And as martial arts teachers, the vast majority of us didn't start this to make a gazillion dollars. There's plenty of easier ways to make money than running a martial arts school. I give you the tip. We do it because we love it. But if you want that growth, you've got, I guess, go back a step. You've got to set your goals. If you're at 50 students and you are happy with 50 students and you're running out of a school hall or a small club, then you're successful. Your success is not defined by your numbers or your income. Your success is defined by are you getting what you want out of your school. But if you want to grow your school, and there's nothing wrong with that, MABS is all about ethically being successful. And it's not about creating money. It's about creating a lifestyle. So, for example, I take 3 or 4 classes a week out of, I think we run about 120 classes at this club because I love it, but I can also jump in and take other classes. I've developed good instructors. And so I'm living a lifestyle that I'm really pleased with. And I can't sustain that unless I can create career opportunities for the guys under me. So bringing on board a company like yours gives that, I guess, scalability. Yes, you've got to be able to afford it in the first place. For my first car, I did not go and get a Maserati. For my 8th car, I don't have a Maserati. But my point is, you've got when you're first starting your club up, you've got to pay for something in one or two ways. You've got to pay for it with money, or you've got to pay for it with sweat equity. You've got to do the work yourself. When you get to that point where you go, okay, well, our finances are up a little bit, and I want to focus more on other stuff, that's when you outsource. That's and the first thing you outsource might be cleaning your bathrooms or mowing your lawn at home so you can spend more time working on your club or teaching classes. So when you get to that tipping point of going, I'm here and I'm kind of stuck, that's when you talk to someone like you and Hugo or someone like me for business coaching and go, well, where do we go from here? I don't know what to do. And understand that, like most investments, you buy an investment property or buy shares, you spend the money first, and you make the money later on. It's not a magic bullet. So you're gonna spend your money for the first 3 months, bringing on your services, but you're going to get a result pretty quickly. You're going to have those trials come through. My only advice here is make sure you can deal with them, because you might be opening up some floodgates that you're not ready for. So make sure you got some on. The guys will drive through leads and inquiries. There's no two ways about that, and they're good leads and inquiries. They're not just tire kickers coming down. So make sure you can deal with it, but be prepared to put the work in, or be prepared to spend the money for someone else to put the work in. So when you're at that tipping point, I would say anything. If I was at 200, 250 students and I wanted to level up, I'd be definitely looking to you guys to take that aspect off my hands.
100%. Well, I appreciate all of that, Paul, and the
No, welcome.
kind words there. It's been a pleasure working together, and plenty more months and years ahead to success.
Looking forward to it, mate. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.